In the UEFA Champions League games across various centers in Europe, from the elite Champions League down to the second and third tier of club football in Europe, it promises to be a Mazda-Lane showcase across Europe leagues today. Not also forgetting that there are league games across Europe and many more to come in the Carabao Cup tonight. It's a busy day in the across Europe, and of course we're here to take you through all the happenings in the Nigeria Premier Football League. Enugu Rangers doing the needful there at the Cathedral against Bayelsa United. We'll bring you more of those footballing actions this evening on Sports Extraordinary. Please don't go anywhere. All right, welcome back from that break. If you're just joining us, it's Sports Extraordinary here on Atlantic Television Network. Emmanuel Michael is here. Of course, we wrote this together at this film. Mike, it's a busy weekend. It's a busy Thursday in Europe. Across various centers, matches are ongoing. Good to have you here in the studios.
Yeah, good evening to you, Tempo, and good evening to our viewers out there. Just like you said, it is a busy week as the second and third tier of the European club football is ongoing out there in different centers.
All right, but first off, we're going to start with the Nigeria Premier Football League, where rescheduled matches are being played. And this evening we saw at the Cathedral what had just transpired, and I can tell you for sure that Johnson Saviour scored in the 70th minute. That lone goal ensured that Enugu Rangers, get back to winning ways against Bayelsa United, Mike.
It was an impressive display from Enugu Rangers' point of view, considering the fact that they lost their last game against Kennedy Bobo. I mean, talking about a Remo Stars game where they actually lost out there. It was a very bitter one where Fidelis Ilechukwu actually criticized his friend, talking about Daniel Ogumodede, where he refused to instruct his boys to play the fair play, out there. So for me, I think it was a nice way for them to gain back that mojo, gain back that confidence, getting all 3 points. Yeah, that will help them a lot to also improve on the log table. Don't also forget, as a defending champion, they need to show that indeed they did not just win the league last season by fluke. And how do you show that? You must be able to fight from all fronts, at the start of the season to ensure that at least you are able to prove a point to people out there that you did not just win the league by fluke. Just like what we saw Napoli did 2 years ago when they won the league, and the following season was quite difficult for them to replicate the same form that we saw them winning the league out there. So I think Fidelis Ilechukwu and his boys want to avert such a bad experience of after winning the league, they turn back to become like a mocking or a mockery to so many football followers out there. So for me, all 3 points very, very important. It doesn't matter how it came, whether it is a long goal or a half goal, if there's anything like that in football, but all that matters is that Enugu Rangers were able to take all 3 points at the Cathedral.
Ultimately, at the Cathedral, of course, this game, was also shown across various platforms in the league, and the visibility of the league is gradually building momentum. Even if it's just one game, a lot of persons are interested to really know what is happening there, because, and that's what I talk about brand. When brands partner with you, I'm beginning to love the way the MPFL is being shaped up across matches. Like today, we really enjoyed. We saw some of the flashes. A lot of people can start at the comfort of their home and get to watch what is happening there. All you need is just data, and possibly maybe go to the Twitter platform too, sponsored by some of the partners of the league. Also bring at every minute basis, so we can really track how the games are proceeding in those centers, which makes it more friendly and viable.
Yeah, I think some of those technological equipment have also added some flair into the league, how the league is being covered, and how acceptable the league has become since last season, where they started transmitting the leagues in different platforms out there. They select some games to air out there. We also hear in the last 24 hours that the Nigerian Premier Football League Board went as far as going to China to strike a partnership deal with a company out there in China to make sure that they take the Nigerian Premier Football League, to far and wide. And for me, I think it's a good idea. No doubt, with the level of improvement we've seen under the Benga Elegbeleye board, I tell you, we are getting there gradually. We might not be, there as it is for now, but then looking at the signs that we've seen starting from last season in terms of the officiating, in terms of the everything about the game, this season as well, the league body have also introduced a communication gadget for the center ref out there to also even help them and make the job more easier, for them out there. So with all this technological advancement that have also been brought to bear in the league, it is going to go a whole long way in developing the league. Now, come to think of it, if any team knows that your match is being aired live, there's certain repugnant attitude that some players or coach or coaching crew would have performed, but when they realize that they are live on air, they will refrain from doing such. And courtesy of that, we are improving the league. So for me, I think it's a good idea. We must also urge the board to also keep it up and also try to find other innovative ideas rather to see us to improve the level of the league. But I tell you, I think I'm very satisfied with the way the league is going, the way it is improving. And you talk about the game itself. We've seen a whole lot of changes in narrative where team can go away from home and pick a vital point right now without being molested, without being harassed by the home fans out there, unlike what we used to, see in the past, where team use the must win at home all cost syndrome. But now, I think we've jettisoned away from that mentality right now. It is what you put in the pitch of play, that is what you get right now, and that is why I say that I'm loving the improvement that we are seeing so far in the league.
Of course, I will see previewing, happenings in the Nigeria Premier Football League, and I can tell you for sure that Enugu Rangers are seated 6th now on the log with, one goal advantage. Yeah, they've scored some couple of goals, no doubt, but somehow they've not been also they've done their part to also see how far they can translate their winning form, to the league. But if you look at the way they are shaped up, yes, they're 7th on the league, pardon, and they've scored 3 goals. And it looks like they have to do a whole lot if they must continue to fire from all cylinders. So 3 goals for them, they've scored, and then they've conceded 2, and so -1. That means okay, just 1 goal left for them, as compared to Bayelsa United seated 17th. They have -4, so they've conceded 6 goals and scored just 2. So when you look at the goal disparity, I think that Bayelsa United need to start scoring goals, because they are greatest on doing that this time too. Was not scoring goals when it matters. Although they won at home, against Enugu Rangers, last year December 10th precisely, but that was not enough to really, help them. In fact, we saw how hard they struggled for them to qualify to be part of the league this time. But if they must live up to expectation, because I do not know, some of the target could just be, let's just play the league. It's different from when you have, when you are on the brink of relegation at this point, it doesn't look well, because Global Stars, Ikorodu United, Bayelsa United and Heartland, early days. But if the more you are within this zone, the more your opponent, feels that they have advantage on you. And truly, psychologically, when you are in the brink of the relegation, every team thinks that they can have an upper advantage against you. So when they play with that mindset, and sometimes you're not careful enough to swing out immediately, it becomes a challenge.
Yes, I think that is what Bayelsa United need to start doing. They need to start learning how to score the goals. Bayelsa United, Aqua United, Heartland, these are teams that also fought their way through relegation last season. In fact, all these 3 teams had to battle until the last, match of the day last season before they were able, to escape relegation. Starting the season in a very shaky note this time around is another big worry, though one might say that it is early call to make right now. But then the way you start your league is as good as projecting to the people out there, or to the followers, on what you intend to do and how competitive you tend to be. We've played 2, 3, 4 games, and yet you are not getting it right. When will you start getting it right? So for me, I think the idea of it is too early call to make. I do not want to subscribe to that opinion. If you want to win the league, you must start at the get-go. That is the way a serious team starts the league. Just like some of the top teams in Europe, Manchester City, Bayern Munich, Bayern Leverkusen, Real Madrid, Barcelona, Paris Saint-Germain, these are teams where they get to start the league. They start in a fine fashion. They don't wait until maybe 10 or 15 games before they start, imprinting their philosophy or start dominating. No, you don't win the league that way. So football is very, very unpredictable. You just need to start picking a point from the get-go. That is the way you are going to contend for the league. If you say, okay, let us wait until maybe match day 7, match day 10 before you start getting a point, what is the assurance that you are going to start getting positive results if you are not getting it right now that the league gets started? So for me, I think for teams like Ikorodu City, team like Heartland, team like Aqua United, team like Bayelsa United, who are also swimming within the relegation zone, should try to do everything possible to start getting positive results, because for me, the earlier the better for them.
The earlier the better for them, and of course I can tell you for sure that Tottenham Hotspur, they are currently leading in that encounter against Ferencváros, and they'll bring you more of those ones after now. But certainly I'll move now to Europe, and of course I can tell you that a lot of games are ongoing. Mike, it is a big midweek, and at the start of the season I asked myself, now that we're going to have a Swiss format of the UEFA Champions League that also had scuttled the initial plan that we know, where we get to see Monday, Tuesdays are for UEFA Champions League, or Wednesdays, Wednesdays, Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and then Thursday for the third tier, as well as the UEFA Europa League. These days, I was asking if you calculate the weeks, they will not meet up, but somehow it looks like UEFA themselves know better. We get to see games being played. Second tier games now can be played on Wednesdays, Thursdays, it doesn't matter, but every week we expect maximum games across Europe, and that's what we're seeing. It looks like we will not be crying about lack of football. So every week we expect a showcase, and I'm just wondering how the leagues are going to play. Like, we're having Carabao Cup, we're having UEFA League, we're having Conference League, we're having UEFA Champions League. I don't know about your perspective to this pattern of games in Europe.
I think for me it is the new format of the UEFA Champions League and other UEFA club competition out there, where some teams has been added to the original teams of 32. Now it is 36 in the UEFA Champions League. You just mentioned, but I feel you also forget to mention the Club World Cup as well, expanded edition of it. So for me, I think it is a nice one for football fans across the globe, because they will be very, very busy over the weekend and in the midweek as well, watching their darling team. So there's no room for any football fans to complain that we have a very long way to go. Maybe you are going to stay 2 or 3 good days without watching football. I think that have been jettisoned, that has been put aside courtesy of this new format of the European football league out there. Then again, I think on the other hand, it is also a very troubling time and a worrying time for the players who are the key players of this system of this new expanded games, because most of the players are also complaining as well. A few weeks ago, Rodri, the Manchester City midfielder, talked about the congested fixture and the numerous games that the players have been are made to play this season. And for me, it will be very, very tiring for the players. They get to worn out. They are humans as well. So immediately he made that complaint. Lo and behold, in the next game he got injured. That is going to rule him out of the season. So playing games, the club game, the league game, the Carling Cup, the FA Cup, Champions League, Europa, Club World Cup, and all of that, I tell you, it's going to be a big heap of activities in the world of football in Europe, which for me, this is an exciting and interesting one for football fans out there, because they'll be very, very busy watching their darling team out there. Then on the other hand, the players are also crying about, the regular games, congested fixture, because they get to wear down. It costs them a whole lot, because they are human, just like I said. So for me, by and large, trying to balance this, I think maybe, just maybe in the future, if the Players Association, come together and maybe carve out a thing, or just try to lodge their own complaint to FIFA, maybe they are going to look into that. But as it is right now, it is what it is. The game has been lined up, and clubs are obligated by FIFA and UEFA to obey those games out there. That is just it. They have nothing as it is right now. Hence, it has started unless the professional players come together under one umbrella, to voice their displeasure about the congested fixture. Then maybe next season we're going to see maybe a little paradigm shift from the congested fixture of this season. If not, I tell you, this is what we get to see in the new look UEFA Champions League competitions.
Of course, a lot of happenings there, and of course, Mike, giving you a say on that particular one. We get to see how far, as it stands now, a lot of games are ongoing. We saw, but first off, let's take a look at all the UEFA Champions League games we saw yesterday before we preview some of the actions in the Europa League. And these days, one is naturally for us as a sports presenter to look at the games critically, because they are what we call, they are timely to the presentation. They are in the time when the presentation is going on. So you just want to look at those games. But yesterday we saw Girona lost to Feyenoord. 3-2 it ended in that particular one. And the level since we think, Girona were very fantastic, last season, but somehow losing at home. And maybe Feyenoord also very good side, but nobody would have saw this one coming.
For me, it wasn't surprising yesterday. I seen Feyenoord defeating Girona. Girona, I think they've not been playing Champions League football, but because of their brilliant performance in the La Liga last season, they were able to get, the UEFA Champions League ticket, and coming, into the game without much experience, without having players as well that have what it takes or know what, it means to play in the UEFA Champions League. Feyenoord, there are no newcomers to the Champions League. So for me, maybe just because of the experience, that is why they had to fall to the firepower of Feyenoord. But I tell you, maybe in the next game, we might see Girona bouncing back very strong.
And of course, Shakhtar Donetsk lost at home to Atlanta. Demola Lookman also doing the needful, for his side there.
Yeah, for Atlanta and Demola Lookman, I think it is a nice game for them. Last night under Gasperini, the coach who truly knows the feelings of the players and who truly understand the workings of working together, and also trying to build a team that can be able to churn out positive results. If you take a look at what they did last season in the Europa Cup, they've also continued with that momentum. I think this team has been together. They kept bulk of their players that did pretty well last season in the Europa game, and this time around, they are doing a lot of things. Are they going away from home to smash their opponent 3-0? I think it was a statement of intent. And for Ademola Lookman, scoring a goal and also giving an assist, it clearly tells you that he is the favorite, to be crowned the African Footballer of the Year, if there's anything to go by so far, looking at his performance, since the start of this season.
Since the start of the season, and of course, Aston Villa also were in magical form. Yesterday, got better of Bayern Munich. I mean, it wasn't easy. It reminds me of the last time they played, and a whole lot of history in that particular one. But 1-0 was the difference, and clearly, Bayern also were very fantastic, but I'm not sure that that was the result Vincent Kompany would have imagined, because they came, into that particular encounter, winning 4 of their games in the before now, but somehow they have dented their records.
Yeah, it was a very shocking result to so many people out there because of the pedigree of Bayern Munich in the UEFA Champions League. Then again, you also consider the fact that they've been in a fine form since Vincent Kompany took over the Bayern Munich side. They have been scoring goals left, right, and center. So people thought maybe it was going to be one of those roller coaster ride for them, but they had to meet a very different Aston Villa side under Unai Emery that have been very, very good so far since last season. It was a shocker to Bayern Munich, but I tell you, Bayern Munich, they still have chances of making it through. Let's see what comes up in their next game as it is. But then we need to give kudos to Aston Villa. Because why? This is the first time in 42 to 43 years that they are making a return to the UEFA Champions League. The last time they played in UEFA Champions League was called the European Cup then. That was 1981-1982 when they got to the final. And it was coincidentally against the same Bayern Munich, and they actually defeated Bayern Munich with that lone goal as well to lift the then European Cup, now UEFA Champions League. So since when the Champions League or Europa Cup was transmogrified, the name was transmogrified to UEFA Champions League, Aston Villa have not played in the Champions League, just like I said, in the last 42 to 43 years right now. So making a return in a big stage, so many persons thought that maybe experience is going to work against them, but then that is not the case, because they have a coach in Unai Emery who truly understands how the European football works. Don't forget, he has a good record when he has to do with the Europa Cup, having won it with a different club out there in Europe, especially for Sevilla as well. So he had a different game plan yesterday, and they actually hurt Bayern Munich. It was a great performance from Aston Villa point of view yesterday.
It was a great performance from Aston Villa point of view, and I can tell you that I mean, a lot of clubs showcasing their strength at the top level. Benfica also proved that I mean they were better off than Atletico Madrid. And when you look at the squad, you think that it should be so because on player level yesterday, I think they were in a different class of it. But nobody would have saw 4 goals in that encounter between Atletico Madrid and Benfica. But then they scored. If you look at the squad, scored. You just know that maybe they were drained from that game against Real Madrid in the weekend. But Benfica did the needful against them.
I think there's no excuses for Atletico Madrid, whether they were exhausted playing a derby game against Real Madrid. Benfica as well also played over the weekend, so I think it's no excuse. It's just that it wasn't their day at all. They were very, very poor on the day, and Benfica had to capitalize, on their poor game plan yesterday and punish them. 4 goals to nothing. It ended against Atletico Madrid, very dogged and defensively compact Atletico Madrid style led by Diego Simeone. But then they were dismantled, not just 1, not just 2, not just 3, but 4 goals to nothing. So it clearly tells you that the result for Benfica wasn't a fluke. They actually came out, and if you actually watch those goals, perfect goals, there was nothing to doubt about that they have indeed the quality. And on a day like yesterday, I think Atletico Madrid were fine wanting, and that is why they could not come to the party. They weren't on their A game, and they were actually punished. A big win for Benfica. It is now left for Diego Simeone boys to go back to Spain and try to start planning on their next UEFA Champions League match.
On the next UEFA Champions League match, Dinamo Zagreb played 2-2 with Monaco, and Lille, of course, stunned Real Madrid in that encounter, stopping their unbeaten run of Real Madrid, the 14-game unbeaten run of Real Madrid in that particular one at home.
Very shocking for me. Real Madrid unable to get a win or even score a goal against Lille side. With their race of stars in their rank, naturally you should expect Real Madrid to get a better of Lille. But then this is football for you. The table turns. Despite them having most of the big name, the star players, but then it couldn't help them. And no thanks to injury as well to some of their key players, the likes of Kylian Mbappe, the likes of Rodrigo, but then that is no excuses because they have good squad depth out there to, take on anybody, any team across the globe. So I think it is one of those shocker that we get to see in the world of football.
We're going to see in the world of football, and RB Leipzig of Germany did so well, but they could not match to get the final third and get that needed win against Juventus at home there in Germany.
It was a very poor one for RB Leipzig. Going up first, maybe 1 or 2 goals up, and then Juventus receiving a red card in that very game. People thought maybe it was done and dusted, but then Juventus came back into the game very, very strong. They responded in a very fine fashion and had to take the game down back to RB Leipzig. And at the end of it all, they were able to come out top 3-2 in favor of the old ladies. So for me, this is what the Champions League brings. You have to also note that there are some teams that have been very, very consistent in the Champions League over the years, and Juventus is one of those teams out there. So maybe experience over RB Leipzig actually gifted them that victory.
Experience gifted them that victory, and with that now we're going to short break. When we come back, we'll talk more of the current games that are on in Europe. Don't go anywhere.
people of Maiduguri need your help. A catastrophic flood has engulfed the city, leaving over 1 million residents stranded and fighting for survival. Entire communities are submerged, with people trapped inside homes and on rooftops cut off from food, clean drinking water and essential supplies. Health experts are warning of a potential outbreak of deadly diseases, and medical facilities are out of commission. The situation is dire. Helicopters, boats and high-riding trucks capable of navigating the treacherous, waterlogged areas are urgently required to reach the countless men, women and children still awaiting rescue. The Nigerian media is issuing a desperate plea to the government, humanitarian organizations, international actors and citizens across the nation. Step in now, before it's too late. For more information on how you can help, contact Professor Usman A. Tar, the Honorable Commissioner for Information and Internal Security, Borno State, on 0809-233-3955. Every second counts.
This is powered by Atlantic Television Network.
Alright, matches are on across various centers, and I can tell you for sure that nothing less than 12 goals have been scored across the centers in the Europa Cup this evening. And I can just read out some of the scores so far. We have Ferencváros currently trailing Tottenham Hotspur in that particular one at home. They are 1-0 in that center, and that goal courtesy of Sa. Of course, that game is really going on. 3 changes were made to the game, the team that won Manchester United last Sunday. As we can see clearly, we have Timo Werner, Mike Moore, some of the big guys playing this particular one. Pedro Porro doing the needful, Jack Christian Romero. So some of the guys, but 3 changes have been made, to ensure, and they are leading against Ferencváros.
Yeah, when you have a whole lot of compacted or congested fixtures, for a season, you need to rotate your squad. That is where squad rotation comes in. You need to give game time to French players as well, because you have a lot of competition to play for. You play in the English Premier League, play in the FA Cup, the Carling Cup, the Europa League game. So this is where you need a true squad depth for you to be able to keep up to shape with all these games that is piled up. So it is not surprising that coaches do some alterations in some of their team. For example, the squad that faced Manchester United against Tottenham, you see some alteration. About 3 players have been dropped and 3 drafted in to start for this game, so that at least they keep them fresh for the next because over the weekend they will also have English Premier League games as well.
And of course, it takes the brilliance, and that's where the psychology of players comes in. As a manager, I need to understand that the backroom staff needs to be up and doing, to get this particular one done. Also, in Germany, Hoffenheim taking on Dynamo Kiev. Hoffenheim currently leading that particular one, and not also forgetting that in Italy, the game between Lazio and Nice, Lazio currently leading that particular one too. 2-1 in that center, and a lot. So for Lazio, if you look at the way they've gone about their games this time around, they are always in the top 10, no doubt, competing, getting European places. But somehow we've not seen them, break out like Napoli. We've not seen that breakout season for them. They've been fantastic, no doubt, competing at the top tier. But I expect them. They've been very consistent. That I expect them to cause some dramatic, breakthrough and announce themselves.
Lazio is just an average team. Their only hope or quest is just to stay afloat of the, the Italian league, maybe in the top 10. The Lazio team like Fiorentina as well, Bologna, Atlanta, these are mid-table teams. Though in the past they've been able to make some impact, but then they are not consistent. When you expect them to be very consistent, they just fizzle away. So for me, I think, this time around, let's hope that they can be able to reinvent those fine form we used to know Lazio in the past as it is in the Europa this season.
Someone in the Serie A at the Stadio Olimpico, their home ground, doing so well against Nice there. Let's see if they can hold on and put through going forward. Elsewhere, there are games also. Maccabi Tel Aviv in Israel doing, trailing against the FC Midtjylland, and Olympiacos getting one above CS Braha. Qarabag playing out a 1-0 draw game see on, and they're in halftime right now against Malmo FF, and Real Sociedad losing currently to Anderlecht. Real Sociedad, well, it sees, I mean, a lot to change by the time the game comes to a climax, but losing at home to Anderlecht, there is this mindset that comes when you are playing in front of the home fan and you're losing and going to the halftime. The coach have to do a whole lot, to get in this particular one, knowing fully well that they have a very standard, setup. They are also one of the very strong team, so clearly last week, playing 5-3-2 formation. And you look at the coach of the side, one man who also understands Angulsi, one man who understands how things are played here, strongly pushing the team against the top teams here. But when you have a team that are more formidable, sometimes it can be very cracky. 5-3-2 formation, against a team like their counterparts, you just need to be at the best of your game. Anderlecht too, they are not a team that you take for granted in Belgium, but somehow, let's see how far. But 2-1. I'm sure that they can come back to this particular one.
Yeah, it is not done and dusted. Anderlecht in the Belgian league, there are no pushovers, so they are a very, very big team when it has to do with the Belgian league out there. But then you expect Real Sociedad, for the fact that they are playing at home, to also enjoy the home support as well. But I believe after the halftime, they get to the tunnel dressing room. I believe their coach is going to have pep talk and maybe do some changes as well. So it is not done and dusted. It is not dead and buried yet until after the 90 minutes.
Omar Sadiq is in the field of play, and so happy to get to see him. I don't know how far he's stronger for a club.
For me, take a look at his performance since last season. I think he just makes one or two flashes out there when he scores one or two beautiful goals out there. But then that is all you get to hear from him. He's not that consistent. But getting a call-up for the national team, I doubt, because we have other Nigerian players doing very, very well in Europe out there, better than him.
Galatasaray without Victor Osimhen, currently leading 2-1 away from home to ROFS, that encounter. And it looks like a Victor Osimhen injury. It's not, I mean, the storyline, I'm hoping that he can maybe give him more match absence. He can get back himself. But we're yet to hear officially from the club how deep that injury might cause him, or how lengthy it will take him out of the football pitch.
Well, from what the coach said a few days ago, or Kamburak, I think Victor Osimhen will be back very soon. It's not that serious injury. They just need to be very cautious on the way they handle him, because he has proven to be one of their key players since he made his move on a loan deal down to Galatasaray. I think he's been very, very instrumental for the Galatasaray team. The coach also talked about that. In his first 3 games, he gave 3 assists before scoring 2 goals in the last encounter before he went on that injury. So if there's anything to go by the coach of the side talking about Kamburak, then Victor Osimhen will be back sooner than later.
Because of the penalty scored by Van Bomen there, Slava Prague trace at home to Ajax, and that game continues. Ajax themselves getting that particular one. Other games to expect later this evening: Athletic Club will take on AZ Alkmaar, Besiktas versus Eintracht Frankfurt, Esbo versus FC Roma, and not forgetting FC Porto and Manchester United. And Manchester United traveling away from home to play FC Porto. Look at their last game they played, and I mean they've lost back-to-back now, and not a very good one in Europe.
Yeah, not a very good one for Manchester United under Eric Ten Hag. The pressure is ever piling against, Eric Ten Hag. Let's see if he can be able to turn things around. Sometimes there's one thing about Eric Ten Hag and Manchester United fans. When he's getting heated out there, when he's getting a whole lot of criticism. I just heard Paul Scholes talking just 2 hours ago. He said that this Manchester United is not a team that you can watch as it is right now. It looks as though the players don't even understand the direction of what the management want, and it looks as though they are a team that doesn't even have a coach. And you can't just sit down to watch Manchester United game these days. That is a statement coming from their ex-player, their legend, talking about Paul Scholes. So for me, I think the bad result continues for Manchester United. But then, despite that, he's still getting the backings of the two owners. So let's see if they'll be patient enough if he continue to churn out bad results. But I believe tonight is going to be that night where Eric Ten Hag, at least, if not for any other thing, but for the sake of United fans all over the world, to douse the tension, will do everything possible to at least get a win tonight against FC Porto.
Let's see how far Manchester United will respond to that optimistic declaration by Mike. But a lot of people will still tell you that traveling away from home won't be an easy one. But let's see how far that goes. Mike, that's where we'll got to. And there are other games to play in the Conference League. Chelsea also, on the run. But a lot. Hopefully, when we come back tomorrow, we'll take our time to really look at some of these previews, some of the top results from the European scene this week.
Yeah, sure. A lot of games, even in the third-tier club football, just like you mentioned, the Chelsea will be in action tonight by 8 p.m. against Genk. Wait to see what Enzo Maresca and his boys is going to do there. A lot of game build up tonight, but just like you said, this is where we drop the anchor for this edition of the show.
Ekpo Temple is my name. I did the show with Man and Michael. We'll be back again tomorrow, same time, here on Atlantic Television Network. But don't forget, before then, 7 to 8 in the morning, there'll be time for sports talk. Until we come your way again, have a blissful moment. It's one game, football without violence.